years is an anniversary. Anniversaries are a very unique time to look back and to look forward.
There is a saying in the Netherlands, life starts at 40, but that has been a long life of DCI in the last 40 years, starting very small.
Was it worth it? Yes, I think so, to begin with. We broke the mould and set up an organisation, an NGO, for the human rights of children.
In the last 40 years, a lot has happened with DCI, and DCI has played an important role. Keep in mind that DCI was the first and most likely the only international non-governmental organization working in the field of children's rights.
We were created in the International Year of the Child in 1979. As soon as we got our consultative status with the United Nations through the Economic and Social Council, as soon as we got that in 1983, we were asked to be the coordinators of all NGO input into the convention. So it was a very high-profile role that we had to play during the drafting of the convention.
DCI was in the forefront and was a very strong, and still is, a very strong organization in being able to bring together these various NGOs and to move that convention forward.
What was extremely important, I think, was the fact that we as NGOs got together, pooled our resources, and we ensured that our inputs had the level of reflection that was necessary and the level of support that was necessary, and therefore the credibility.
Trying to make people aware of the existence of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Establishing, also important, a network of national sections that also contributed to an increasing awareness of the existence and the importance of the Convention on the Rights of the Child all over the world.
DCI has a long history of involvement in the promotion and protection of children's rights, and I think it's that long history that has matured that gives it credibility and that lends itself to making this a movement that not only is it worldwide and exists in many different countries, that is useful for its own future and for the future of children.
And DCI is continuing doing that. There is an increasing focus from DCI on the area of juvenile justice. That in and of itself is a big one, with a lot of controversial issues.
I think in the past 40 years, DCI has proven to be an extremely important generator for attention on children's rights, including and also in particular on the rights of children in the context of juvenile justice.
The work that we've been doing at the international level to promote and contribute to the drafting of the convention could then be taken up where it was needed at the national level by the growing number of national sections that we had.
Linked with the other NGOs, local NGOs, national NGOs, and I think this is important to make things changing at concrete level, at grassroots level, reaching children that are the most vulnerable.
So it is always important for us to provide that evidence that will lead to global decisions that will affect children generally. And after that, we have to ensure that these laws are also interpreted and put into practice on the ground.
The European Union is a good example. If we don't work at the European level, we can complain about the fact that national legislation is not good enough, not in line with the convention, but the government will say, but it comes from the European Union, we are just implementing the European framework, and so we need to be organized to influence that level too.
As civil society organizations, we also need to draw the attention of government on issues that they don't think they should be considered in this perspective.
I am telling you that your work is still starting, and really to be sure that all these NGOs are taking into account the recommendations related to child protection issues, are taking into account you have a strong role to be sure that at national level, because this is a place where things can change.
But I think also what is very, very impressive about DCI, looking back and then looking forward, is that it's not an organization as such. It's a movement.
Just after the Velvet Revolution, 1991, a group of teachers, they wanted to emphasize the rights of the child in education. We were successful in including the participation of students and pupils in the School Act, Education Act. And just our main task since 1991 has been monitoring the implementation of the convention, because there is no independent body as foreseen by the convention.
In the Netherlands, we work according to the UNCRC. We provide legal assistance to children. We do lobby and advocacy work to improve the immigration law system, the juvenile justice system, child protection system. We advocate for inclusive education and to stop, for example, gender-based violence and other children's rights violations.
The people who created the national section in Belgium were working with children on a daily basis, trying to guarantee access to justice, to find solutions and remedies to concrete difficulties that children were facing, families were facing on a daily basis. We had also very academics who were willing to contribute to the thinking and the development of the theory on the rights of the child.
I started to work in Israel on my doctoral dissertation on Janusz Korczak, a Polish-Jewish educator, pediatrician. One of the first things we did in Israel, I started to talk with the president of the juvenile courts and said, we want to do legal representation. And he said, no, we don't need this because there's the juvenile probation office, you don't need lawyers. So we decided to do a project of legal representation.
Dès que nous accueillons un enfant, la première des choses, c'est que nous avons ce qu'on appelle le projet de vie, basé sur les besoins de l'enfant. Est-ce qu'il a besoin seulement de notre accompagnement sur le plan juridique, le jour de son arrestation, ou s'il est victime, le jour où il est devant une juridiction, jusqu'à la fin de son procès, ou est-ce qu'il a besoin de notre accompagnement après même son procès? Est-ce qu'il a besoin d'un accompagnement psychologique? Donc tous ces besoins, nous les décrivons dans un projet.
So this is the reason why we have our socio-legal defense centers at country level. These centers are places where children and families can actually come and seek justice. And one of the things we are proud of is the fact that through this center we have been able to provide justice for thousands of children, including those who are now also organizing themselves as activists, and they are making contributions. And above all, Defense for Children International is seen in Sierra Leone as a place where everyone can go and seek justice for children.
It's very important when we work at national level to have as many links and as many partnership with other countries, to see what's going on in other countries, to try to learn lessons from these experiences.
We work together with Defense for Children sections in other countries.
The fact of connecting in an international network in Europe and beyond Europe is very important, because it can provide our local action with a kind of intelligence, and also to see things from different perspectives, which is always useful, and to question also the way we are working. So I would say it's a learning process. If we really want to be close to children, we have to learn to open our narratives to other situations and other organizations. So I value very much the relation with the other partners outside.
So we have in Italy very advanced law which recognize migrant children or unaccompanied children as Italian children. So on paper we have this recognition and we have this very advanced normative framework. When it comes to practice, things are really different. And we see that the difficulty of translating this theoretical and normative framework into practices that are compliant with standards, with law, and with children's rights.
The migrants crossing border, it's very important to have a global look at the situation. We develop a lot of projects, and each time with the idea on how to reinforce the status and the capacity of children to really defend themselves, promote their rights, have something to say in decisions that concern them, and have a real place as citizens in the society.
In Africa, we have this movement of youths and families towards Europe through the Mediterranean Sea. There's also a lot of trafficking happening within that movement, push people to move from one place to another family. So, and there are a lot of things that happening.
These are important topics that take more than a lifetime to deal with.
With these priorities, there are a number of actions that we have been able to undertake. One was to really follow up on the global study on children deprived of their liberty.
And I think one of the things that I would like to flag is the important, I would say, crucial role DCI had played in the movement around the United Nations Global Study on Children Deprived of Liberty.
Without the strong lobbying and also support of non-governmental organizations and in particular also Defense for Children International, the General Assembly would not have decided to commission such a global study.
Now we have this study, we have this instrument that will allow us to assess the situation at national level and also identify what are the main gaps and what should be done.
Because children deserve a better treatment. Children should not be placed in detention of whatever kind of sort.
And we have also realized that deprivation of liberty of children should not only be a measure of last resort, but it's actually destroying children's childhood development. We want to ensure that children have access to justice. We know the issues that children are facing at country level, so we really have to ensure that we build the capacity of our sections so that our sections will be able to influence positive changes on the ground, but they are also able to input the campaigns we do at a global level. So that is one of our priorities. I think the second one is really to ensure that as a movement we can speak with one voice.